Stefan Borson has stopped by because the month of January, it's a very important month. We have a PSR deadline coming up. That, amongst other things, of course, the financial scene in the world of football is a scene that we regularly spend time on, and why wouldn't we? Fans of Crystal Palace asking me to ask you, Stefan, this lunchtime, what is going on behind the scenes? Because it's understood a group backed by individuals from Saudi Arabia and the US has signed now an exclusivity agreement to buy out Eagle Football and take John Textor's 45% stake in Palace. Can you tell us anything more with the former Palace owner sitting to my right?
Well, I mean, Simon's probably more tuned in. I mean, all I would say is that the reality is that Textor's... The stories around John Textor over the last 6-12 months have really been fairly unreliable. I mean, if we're being honest, you know, there was the whole stuff about Everton, which was never a deal that was really viable because he held the Palace stake. There's been talk of a very, very high price for the Palace stake. There's been talk of another consortium who can't decide whether they're going to buy the Palace stake or they're going to invest in Eagle. Leon have been told that they're relegated, subject to certain conditions in Ligue 1.
Yeah.
They postponed the annual general meeting at the end of the month, pending some news. They've said that they're going to try an IPO in New York, but nothing's come out about it. They raised some money before Christmas. So a whole load of these stories. Then on top of that, they are required under the rules of their listing to make announcements of this sort of development. You know, if they really have an exclusivity with a party that's credible, that appears to me to be price sensitive information that would need to be announced. But they made no announcement yesterday regarding it. Bottom line is,
Palace fans shouldn't hold their breath.
I just take it all with a pinch of salt,
right?
You know, and just sort of wait for the reality of it.
Yeah.
I do think, in fairness to the Premier League, one of the best things that the Premier League has done over the last 12 months was the work that they did in respect to 777 and setting the criteria upon which they would approve 777. And that saved Everton. And I do think it endorses the fact that the Premier League's owners' test, directors and owners' test, is now fit for purpose, and actually will do a good job in assessing any potential buyer of that stake. So, you know, I think if Palace fans were concerned about who are these people, I think the Premier League are likely to get to the bottom of any issues with them and make sure that they're good for the money.
All right, so there's considerable doubt over that. What we know is this: the 115 charges faced by Manchester City, the 12-week hearing concluded just before Christmas. The Independent Commission considering all the evidence before a verdict's announced. What are you hearing?
Well, so Pep has said that the club expects to hear February, March. The fact that he was quite vague on that suggests that actually there isn't a very specific date and deadline that the panel has been given.
What have you heard, Stefan?
In terms of timing? Nothing. I can only tell you...
In terms of which way it's going?
I know City are confident, right? And City have been consistently confident. And, you know, they do seem to be active in the transfer market, although struggling to get deals over the line. They are building a £400 million stand and hotel complex behind one of the stands, which doesn't strike me as the sort of thing that you would do if you weren't confident. A number of other sort of softer things that I've heard in the background do appear to support that level of confidence. But we'll have to see. I mean, clearly that trial went the full length. It went to 12 weeks. And that means that everything we've said about the seriousness of the allegations must have been true, because you wouldn't run a hearing for 12 weeks if the matters underlying it were not serious allegations and didn't require very serious scrutiny.
I'm not pushing you, Simon, for anything specific, but I know you've got your ear to the ground. Is there anything you can tell us?
I don't think there's as much confidence as Stefan alludes to. I think there might be a challenge, but it'll be interesting to see how that manifests itself, because I don't think the idea that this Gulf State ownership would be doing things differently. This is chump change. The money that they spend on this is nothing in comparison with the wealth that they've got. So I would expect them to continue to evolve and do business in the way that they would have been doing it historically. The question is if indeed Man City were to be found guilty, what would they be suffering? What would the sanction be? Because I don't think anyone's got any real visibility or understanding of what that sanction can be. Because I've always felt they have a case to answer, and I've always felt that there was going to be some form of deal done because there was too much at stake here, too much influence at stake here, too much currency. This is a nation state that bought a football club to create an outlook that's now, if they're convicted of something, kind of brings that down around its ears. Well, so I've always felt that there would be some sort of trade-off, as there often is in life and often as there is in politics, and it would find its way into this situation. But you know, the supposition that I understand is that there are some challenges. Man City are they're not dancing in the aisles right now about how well they think they've done.
You've got a minute, Stefan.
Well, I think there's a massive contradiction about the way that you've just described the case. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, there has been no deal, right? So that's the first thing.
No.
Secondly,
I said to you, I thought there might be.
As you say, the whole thing will come tumbling down around them if the most serious charges are proven.
What does that look like?
I don't think you can just sweep it under the carpet.
If the most serious charges are proven, what does the whole thing tumbling down around them look like?
He doesn't know, and neither do I.
Well, first of all, the sanction is not something they're going to be able to negotiate. They're going to be a very serious sanction hearing, right?
What would a sanction be then? We don't know.
Well, it'll be a points deduction that will guarantee relegation. I'm certain of that. Yes.
You think they'll relegate
for the most serious matters? These are serious. Again, I'm saying if the serious parts are proven, I'm not saying about cooperation or some of the other bits and pieces. If we're talking about the fact that for the last X number of years, the accounts have all been wrong very materially, and City have lied to every party, left, right, and centre, and multiple people have given witness statements that turn out to not be true, then of course the sanction will be very, very severe. There can be no doubt about that. I don't even think City would deny that. It will all be about mitigation. And even then, you sort of struggle to say, well, what is the mitigation on very serious matters of this nature? It's very hard to find them. So, I think that's where it will go if
we'll see.
If proven,
we'll see.
Okay, Manchester City, of course.
We've yet to see Chelsea's projected financial challenges, and each year we come in and have this conversation about how Chelsea are going to get caught and they don't.
Well, we'll
see, because I think Manchester City might well get done. But I'm not entirely sure the consequences of how they get done will be quite as far-reaching as you suggest.
You can't compare the two. Chelsea have carried out transactions within the rules.
Manchester City have said they're innocent all along and that they'll prove it. Maybe they have. We'll find out in the fullness of time. Stefan, thank you so much, as always. Coming up to 12:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.